This is Scott Spears, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Scott Spears Now, and today you're going to have a musical treat. 30 minutes with Wayne Golob, all the way from the northern part of Ohio. Wayne, so glad to have you here. You are one of the accordion masters that each year we have visited with at the Bucyrus Bratwurst Festival. So it's good to have you in studio, and it's great because Wayne's going to be with us for a half hour on this episode, and then be with us for 90 minutes with Mary Ellen Withrow as the time goes along. So we're going to have a lot of fun this particular week. Wayne, now exactly where are you from?
Well, first I'm going to ask, am I in a good position? Should I be facing you?
No,
I feel kind of odd that my back is towards you.
It's just the mic. The miking is where it's at.
I get you.
You're perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm from Sandusky, that little town up on Lake Erie, or Sandusky Bay, actually. Lived there my entire life. Haven't lived anywhere else. What more would you like to know?
Well, when did your interest in music come about?
Oh, golly, as long as I can remember. I was born in 1953, and as far back as I can remember, I was very excited about music and records. My dad bought me records all the time. I used to have a little portable record player, and I would take it wherever we went. We went to visit some friends or something, I would lug my little portable record player along in my 45s. So, yeah, going way back, to as far as I can remember, I was into music.
Now, accordion. Now, that's not a typical instrument for a child to want to play. How did the accordion come into your life?
Well, back when, actually in the 50s, the accordion was quite popular and continued to be so up until the advent of rock and roll. And then everybody said, no, that looks corny and old-fashioned. Lawrence Welk plays one of those. Let's go with the guitar. So that was when everything switched, when Elvis came along. But there were a lot of people interested in the accordion when I was very young, and I knew a lot of people in Sandusky that played the accordion. Most of the bands at the time, the dance bands, they all had an accordion player, and a lot of people just played accordion for their fun of it at home.
Now, how long did it take you to learn the accordion?
Well, I started lessons when I was 5. That would be 1958, and from there, I don't know. The accordion is a fairly easy instrument to learn. Like anything else, if you want to, the more you want to get into music and that, the more complicated it gets. But it's quite, you see all those buttons on it, but it's really quite easy to learn. So I couldn't say exactly how long. I seemed to have picked it up rather quickly, and before you knew it, now that was the regular piano accordion that everyone is familiar with, the one with the piano keys on it. My dad was very much into music. He had friends that played the accordion, but they played the old time Slovenian button accordion, like you see us playing in. On the street there in Bucyrus, and I really wanted one of those, but there was no place he could find one, and no one to teach me in Sandusky, so had to go with a piano accordion, and I learned that, and played it for a few years, and then I kind of lost interest, and it sat in a closet for about 3 or 4 more years, until one day. Mom says we went to a wedding and there was an accordion player in the band. And I was just fascinated. I was up there watching him the whole time. And when I got home, I pulled my accordion out of the closet and been playing it ever since. Now,
what kind of gigs do you end up doing when you start playing the accordion?
Well, I wanted, my thing was I was always into polka music, which it was not that big of a thing in Sandusky at that time. So, in order to get gigs in that, once you get a little bit, into where you're going to play professionally, you basically have to travel. I did travel over in Marblehead, Port Clinton area, or east to Lorain, Ohio.
Very interesting. What kind of events call for polka music?
Well, today, I mean, we still have dances, not as many as there used to be. That was, at one time dances of all sorts of music were very popular. But we still have some polka dances. Festivals are the big thing right now. All sorts of festivals, church festivals, town festivals, and of course the Oktoberfest, which is why I decided to wear my lederhosen today.
It's very interesting. We're taping this in September, but in recent years, Oktoberfests have become a very big thing, certainly here in Ohio, but really in a lot of places in this country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't wait till Oktoberfest to start them. They're starting on Labor Day weekend. And in fact, there's a festival that does not go by the name Oktoberfest, but it's called the German American Festival. It's up in Oregon, Ohio, near Toledo. And that is just huge. And that is the weekend before Labor Day. So, it starts then, goes all through September, goes all through October.
What is the significance of October and accordion music and the background, the polka? How does that all come together?
Well, the Oktoberfest was originated in Munich, Germany, and the ruler there at the time decided to have a festival, and after that, it just continued from there on, and the German culture that is in the Munich area, and that just kind of is the catalyst for having the Oktoberfest.
It's one of the most interesting things. Now, we have a record that you brought here, and a lot of people, vinyl is making a comeback, and I actually do.
It is indeed.
I have a couple turntables at home myself, but now this was a band that you were a part of, the Slovenian, button accordionists.
Yes, and we were, at that time, right around the late 60s and into the 70s, the button accordion had sort of faded away and wasn't very popular. The piano accordion was the thing. That was the modern thing. But as with everything else, things go in cycles, and people just started to appreciate the sound of the old-time sound and look of the button accordion. And that started really getting popular in the late 60s through the 70s. And then different people started forming button accordion clubs, where you'd get together, for socialize, and you'd play your accordion, and then you'd go to different festivals and play. And we formed one in Lorain, Ohio. That's the bunch you're looking at right there, Lorain Sylvanian Button Accordionist. And we were active from about 1979 through 1985.
Now, obviously, you were very popular. You pressed a record here.
Oh, we did.
How did this record come about?
Well, there were several other button accordion clubs that were making records at the time, and so we thought, we should make a record, and we decided to go ahead with that. And this particular one, I have to tell you, we were told by one of the premier disc jockeys in the polka music business that was the one of the two most popular albums of 1982. In the polka music field.
So how well did this sell?
Very well.
Very well, yeah.
It sold well enough that we were able to finance a trip to Europe.
Oh, how great.
And we all went, most of us went over, and we played, we went all through Slovenia. Some of the rest of the group went on to Germany and Austria and Italy. But we went all through the different towns and that, and we would play. I remember one time the bus rolled up in the middle of the town, and we all got out, and they said, "Okay, you're supposed to play here." So we just got together in the town square and played, and townspeople were watching us. It was funny because, this was Slovenia, but I can recall, somebody said there was a woman standing over the side saying, "Oh, those crazy Americans." So that's kind of how things are. But Lorain was a town that had a good-sized Slovenian ethnic population, and that's how we ended up getting involved with Lorain, Ohio.
It's kind of interesting here. I was reading some of the information on the back here of the record, and it says that the idea for this group was your idea, Wayne.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I was. At the time, I remember I wasn't doing that much in the way of music as far as my own band. We played maybe a dozen or so jobs a year. So it's like, okay, let's do something else. And this was a fun thing. We got together and we went a lot of places. Like I said, we even went as far as Slovenia, which was part of Yugoslavia at that time. It was in 1983, and it was a very interesting thing to experience. We were able to go a lot of places, play for a lot of people. And we didn't get paid for it, but we had a lot of fun.
You had a lot of fun. 15 songs on this album. Mm-hmm. Which was the popular song? What was the one that everybody loved?
Oh, golly. SNPJ Polka was our theme song, and that's SNPJ is one of the large Slovenian fraternals organizations. And that's where that SNPJ comes from. But that was one of our, a lot of requests for that. We used to open every performance with that, and then we'd close with that. So that, I would say, that was one of the most popular ones.
Now, you've brought your accordion with us. Could you bring it up into the camera angle here and explain what the accordion, the parts of the accordion? Because I think people see it and people hear it, but they don't really know what the parts are and how they work and how it all comes together.
Alrighty. Well, this is the one I brought with me. This is a diatonic button accordion. To get more specific, it's a Slovenian-Austrian button accordion. Every country in Europe seems to have their own variety of diatonic accordion, and this is the one that was popular in Slovenia and Austria, and also in southern Germany. Now I've been told now that it's expanded and it's popular throughout Germany and in different places as well. But this is called, again, a Slovenian diatonic accordion, or in German it's called the Steirische Harmonika. And you see that it has rows of buttons rather than piano keys, and each button has two musical notes, one going out and a different one going in. And the keyboard is set up in the circle of fifths. So you have your major keys going in, your seventh keys going out. Over here, we have basses and chords. Now, these are very unique basses, and you'll notice the little horns that are on here. Some of it, people ask me if that's for decoration or if it's for functional. Both. The basses are called helicon basses. A helicon is the largest tuba that is made, bigger than a sousaphone. And the reeds in here for the basses are very large. And the idea is to reproduce the sound of a tuba. And so they thought, well, let's put these little bells on here. And they look like the bells of a tuba or a horn of any type. And then also it helps to project the sound. So you see, it's very low. Not like the standard piano accordion. But these were popular again in that little small area in Europe. And of course, when the people immigrated to this country, they brought them with them. This particular one, there were several accordion makers that also immigrated from Slovenia. And this particular one was made by a fellow named Anton Mervar. Anton lived in Cleveland, Ohio, and he became known as the Stradivarius of the diatonic accordion. The accordions he made here in Cleveland, in Ohio, are considered the best of any in the world. And he made accordions from about 1915 to 1942. This particular one is a 1935 model.
1935?
Mm-hmm.
So nearly a century old.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, are the accordions better made years ago than what is an accordion that is made today in 2024 like?
Well, it's like sort of like with anything else. A lot of the companies in Europe, Hohner included, which is a pretty well-known name, have farmed out a lot of their manufacturing to China. So basically, you have people that are looking for, well, a Chinese Hohner, do I want that? No, I want a real German-made Hohner. And it's a lot more expensive to get a German-made Hohner than the Chinese-made Hohners. Italy, they're still making accordions, but there again, some of them are made in China. But it seems like everywhere in the world, especially when you get into these, what I would call a folk accordion, when you get into the folk accordions, there's little small shops that are making them. I mean, you find these shops making these and all through Europe. You find them down in Louisiana. There's quite an accordion industry for the Cajun accordion. Again, they couldn't, it got to the point where they weren't able to import them from Germany anymore because of the world wars, and they started making their own down there. So there's an industry down there making accordions. At one time, believe it or not, there were a lot of people making accordions in this country. When the accordion was very popular, if you go back to the early part of the 20th century, there were many, Chicago was a big accordion center, New York City, Cleveland, Detroit, Milwaukee, and even on the West Coast, in Washington State and in the San Francisco area. Those were all big accordion manufacturing areas. What happened is, of course, after World War II, things were getting more expensive. It became more expensive to make an accordion in America. So a lot of the Italian workers that worked in these factories over here went back to Italy, because that's where the work was. And the entire process was shifting back to Italy. And now I don't know if there's, except for the Cajun accordions, I don't think there's anybody actually making an accordion in the United States today.
That's very interesting. Now, how many accordions do you own, Wayne?
Personally, I have 16.
16?
Yes.
Now, are they certain ones for different occasions?
Yeah, kind of. These antique Mervar accordions, I've always been a fan of, so I've started collecting them. And I've had quite a few over the years. But the interesting thing with the diatonic accordion is you can only play in 3 keys if you have a 3-row. If you have a 4-row, then you get to play an extra key. But what people will do that play these, well, they might have this particular model, which is an A, D, and G, and they might have another accordion in B flat, E flat, and A flat. So they're not limited to the same keys all the time. And if they get more accordions, then they get more keys. So that's one reason that you see the people that have diatonic accordions have more than one, because you're limited to how much musically you can do with it, so you have more than one accordion.
Now, Wayne, you said that the big song was the SNPJ Polka off of this album. Could you play that for us on that?
Yeah, I can do it.
We'd love to hear that. This was the big request off this album.
Yeah. I'm going to, I'll play about half of it.
Really all over the world here, when you think about it. This album traveled.
Yes, it did.
very, very happy instrument, and it's a projecting instrument, Wayne. It really goes out.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
The and the ones that are made today, they're very good accordions. They still make these in Slovenia and Austria, and also in Germany. But the old accordions have a certain sound. They seem to project more, and the sound rings out. The reeds in there were made in Germany, in Saxony, and the company that made them there, they made reeds for all sorts of instruments, concertinas, pump organs, but the old reeds just give the instrument a certain sound. And of course, over the years, the wood has seasoned. That's part of it too. But I just love the sound of the old accordions.
What's the most requested song?
Oh, golly. Talking about like polkas in there?
Polkas,
It has to be the beer barrel polka. Everybody requests that. I don't think we get through a single job without playing it. And sometimes we play it more than once.
Well, let's hear some beer barrel polka.
All right.
The most requested song in the polka industry.
There we go.
Now, Wayne, why do you think that's the most requested song?
Oh, golly, it's the one that everybody knows and remembers, I guess. It was originally, it's an interesting history of that song. It was originally a tune called Škoda Lasky, which was a Czech tune. And then the Germans got a hold of it, and they made it into a song called Rosamunde. And then finally, right before World War II, another German band got a hold of it, and he recorded it instrumentally as the Beer Barrel Polka. Well, I guess beer and polkas have always kind of gone together, with the festivals and that. So that was a wonderful title for a polka. And then when it really took off was when the Andrews Sisters recorded it with words. And that did it right there, as far as in making the song popular.
Now, Beer Barrel, do you know where the title came from? Is it just because beer and polka goes together?
Yeah, that's all.
It is? Mm-hmm. Now, does the song have words? Does it have any...
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Usually, I would say, most people today only sing the words for the chorus. Those are the words that everyone knows, the chorus. But if you get a hold of an old Andrews Sisters recording, the first and second parts also had words to them.
Do you think an accordionist today could be in the top 40?
Well, depending. I mean, there are bands, rock bands that have used accordions. It could be. It wouldn't be as a polka band or a polka, but an accordionist could probably, if he was doing some of the popular music of today, would probably have a chance to get in there.
Could any song be adapted to the accordion like other instruments?
Yeah, sure. With the diatonic accordion, again, you're kind of limited to what you can do. So you're mostly limited to folk songs, which would be the polka and the waltz. In the Germanic countries, you have the schottisch and the landler. But the standard piano accordion, I mean, you can play anything on the piano accordion that you can play on a piano. There was, you think of people like Myron Florin that played with the Welk Orchestra. Art Van Dam was a very well-known jazz accordionist, and he played, modern jazz on the accordion. Classical music, there's a lot of classical players on the piano accordion, and also the chromatic accordion, which is another type of accordion that we haven't mentioned yet. It kind of looks like one of these. It's got all buttons on it, but it's made like a regular modern accordion. And there's some advantages with the chromatic keyboard, where you can do things on it that are difficult on a piano keyboard, but you can do them easily on a chromatic accordion. So a lot of the artists, as far as classical music, have gone to the chromatic accordion.
That's very interesting. Do you think that somebody could do cover songs on the accordion for popular music today and really make a go of it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, of course, he was more of a novelty act, but when you think of, for example, Weird Al Yankovic, he did a lot of things on the accordion. Some of the, I think if the people that recorded the songs with the accordion in the band, if they were the headliners, that might make a difference. For example, John Cougar Mellencamp, Cherry Bomb, that has an accordion all the way through it. And there's other pop tunes that have accordion in it.
Well, it's a happy instrument. It just, when people hear it, they want to move. They want to move their feet. It's even, we talked, I think at the Bratwurst Festival, about playing some funerals, that you've played some funerals.
Yeah.
And yet it still comes off as very happy music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are traditional Slovenian songs that we sing at funerals, and there were several of them that I've done with the accordion accompanying me.
Now, Wayne, you've recorded albums, you've done a CD, you've played all around Ohio. When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered for your performance career?
Oh, golly. How would I like to be remembered? That's kind of a easygoing fellow that enjoyed himself playing music and made people happy.
When you walk around the festivals, is it still fun?
It is.
Still fun?
It is. Oh, yeah.
See that face, the faces coming back, the smiles that it brings to people. Well, Wayne, we're so glad that Wayne Golob is with us, and this is this episode of Scott Spears Now. But stay tuned, because also this week there's going to be an episode of The Exchange with Matt Morgan and Mary Ellen Withrow that Wayne's going to join us for. He's going to do some music on that episode as well, and we'll learn some more about Wayne. So stay tuned to this station. But for this episode of Scott Spears Now, we're heading for the dugout.